Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Guru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So, Sadsangat Ji, today we've got a very blessed opportunity to have a few minutes to speak about the story of Sajjan, who was a robber and a murderer, and how Guru Nanak Dev Ji came in their infinite mercy and in their infinite compassion to give them teachings that changed their insides. Now, when we look at a Saki, before we start looking at the Saki, oftentimes we'll look at that one side of that story. We'll look at the Sikh in the Saki, because oftentimes we'll see ourselves, we'll see our own virtues or our own kind of not so good qualities in that Sikh. So we generally tend to focus so much on that Sikh who gets that teaching from Maharaj and then takes on that teaching and changes themselves from inside, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But sometimes we don't often emphasize enough Guru Sahib. We don't often emphasize enough how much mercy and how much compassion they had and how much love they had for this world to come out from their own house, to come out and to give these teachings and to change that person who from inside had no qualities, who was completely dry from inside. We don't often emphasize how much mercy Guru Sahib had and how much love they had to come and to actually give that person teachings and to give them love. So much love that from inside, that they changed for themselves from inside. By changing themselves, they changed their family. By changing their families, they changed their communities and their towns. And that place that was once completely bare, that had no virtues, that was dry, becomes completely green and beautiful and becomes a place of dharam, becomes a place of righteousness and a place that could help other people as well. So today we'll focus on this story of Sajjan, who was this robber and who was this murderer, who had no qualities from inside. We'll focus on him. And there's a lot of versions of this Saki floating around, and many of you must have heard one version or another version, perhaps in your time coming to the Gurdwara. So today we'll focus mainly on Bhai Veer Singh's version as he's written it, as he's set it out very beautifully. So it's said in the Saki that Maharaj now comes to this town, and in our Ithas it's written that he comes to this place that's now in Multan, this village called Dalamba. And before he gets to the town, it's important to recognize that Maharaj and Bhai Madananda Ji, they've been traveling hard. They haven't been going into towns. They haven't been going into places that are comfortable. So they've been sleeping hard, they've been going through the forest, sleeping on the cold ground. It's hard lifestyle on the body. Bhai Madananda Ji doesn't know when the next meal is going to come from. So now they're walking towards this town, and some miles outside of the town, they come to this mansion. And in your minds, just think of it as this beautiful, huge house, painted very beautifully. The sun, when you see a place that's completely painted very beautifully and it's very crisp like a white paint, and the sun hits it and it glistens, it glows at you. This place is painted so beautifully that it hit the eyes, it enticed people to walk towards it. So Maharaj and Bhai Madananda Ji are now walking towards this house that's some miles outside Dalamba. And it's written by Sir Bhai Veer Singh writes it as servants, once Maharaj comes towards this house, servants come out of this mansion, and they speak very beautiful words towards Guruji and Bhai Madananda Ji, and they say, oh, please come into this house, let us serve you. It looks like you've been traveling such a long way. It looks like you've had such a rough journey. Come and take some rest. Please let us serve you. And today what is Guru Nanak Dev Ji doing? Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who is never attracted by entering towns or places of comfort, today Guru Nanak Dev Ji is walking quickly towards this place. And Bhai Madananda Ji, the one who is always after those comforts of the body, who it's very hard for him to live a lifestyle of an udasi, of someone who's renounced the house. Bhai Madananda Ji today is afraid. In his mind, he's thinking, why has my Guru brought me here today? This whole place has this aura of fear about it. There's this evilness about this place. Why has Guruji brought me here today? But of course he follows Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and because he will not be separate from Guru Nanak Dev Ji, no matter where they go. So now, Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Pai Mridana Ji are sitting inside this house, inside the sitting room. And it's a very beautiful place. It has all the worldly comforts. It's covered in rich fabrics. And they're sitting there. And in walks this man. And he's a very tall man. He's wearing a beautiful, clean robes. Very clean robes. He has a turban on his head. And in his hand, he's carrying a mala, so a rosary. So from the outside, he looks like a very pristine, clean, saintly person that has walked into this room, and he sits opposite Maharaj and he says, "Welcome to this place. Welcome, this is a place for travelers. My name is Sajjan, and I have completely renounced all my worldly desires." And he says, if you see outside, there's a mandir there for Muslims to come and pray. And on the opposite side, on the other side of this house, there's also a mosque for Muslims. So I'm just a friend to both. The Muslims call me Sheikh Sajjan and the Hindus call me Sajjan Ram, but really I'm a servant to both. And I'm just here to serve people, and I've just completely forgotten all my worldly attachments. And this is what he's saying. But Maharaj knows exactly who Sajjan is and exactly what Sajjan does in the night when these travelers come. So Maharaj says, oh, okay. He's thinking to himself. Sajjan asked them now to take some refreshment, take something to eat. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, no, today we're not hungry. We don't want anything to eat. We just want to enjoy now. We just want to sit here. We want to do our kirtan. And we just want to enjoy ourselves like this. So please don't trouble yourself with anything to eat or drink. And Sajjan is a little bit confused. He's just thinking to himself, why won't these people eat from me? What's going on? No one has ever turned down free food before. Who turns down free food? So he's thinking to himself, oh, okay, but as he's leaving the room now, Guru Nanak Dev Ji says something that to Sajjan's mind is a little bit off, is a little bit strange, and that captures him a little bit. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, Sajjan, you know how a fisherman every day casts out his net to catch the fish that he needs to make for his living? And Sajjan's thinking, yes. Sometimes a crocodile swims into that net. And Sajjan's going, okay. And then he leaves the room. But now there's this little doubt in his heart. There's a little shiver of fear that something is not quite right, that something about this person is not quite right. And he's thinking to himself, why would he say that? Why would he say that there's a crocodile that swam into the net? What's going on? So now, Sajjan's true colors start coming out. Once he leaves Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Pai Mridana Ji, that room, once he goes out, he goes and confers with his companions, the people that he was living with. Because Sajjan was not someone who was a saint, was not someone that was feeding people for free, feeding travelers and saints. He was not someone who had given up his worldly attachments. In the night, once those travelers had eaten, and once they'd gone to sleep on that soft bed that he would provide for them, he would kill them and rob them of all of their worldly possessions, all their gold and jewels and anything that they had. And that was how he was making his money. That was how he was making his bread, through the pain and through the torture of other people. So Sajjan now is talking with his companions, and he's asking them, do you think this person, this Guru Nanak, do you think he's a real saint? Or do you think he has some money? Is he a rich person? And the first person says, look, no, I think he's just a normal person. I think he's just trying to find God. He probably doesn't have any kind of money on him. He just wants to, get out of the worldly life. So he doesn't have any money. We should leave him alone. And then Sajjan asked the second person, do you think Guru Nanak Dev Ji is a real saint? Or is he someone who's fake? Is he someone who's rich? And the second person says, there's something about Guru Nanak Dev Ji. He just has this sheen about him. He has this quality about him that is very carefree, is very beautiful. It must be the sheen of richness, because what kind of poor person is so carefree? So he must have some kind of riches on him somewhere. We must kill him tonight, and we'll take those. And then Sajjan asks the next person, do you think this person is the real saint? And the final person says, yes, there's something very special about Guru Nanak Dev Ji. It's not the sheen of richness that's on his face, it's not the sheen of worldly richness that's on his face, it's that sheen of internal wealth, of real beauty, true beauty inside, of the true wealth. When you go near him, you can't help but feel completely at peace. You shouldn't harm this person. He's a saint. He is someone very special. So Sajjan now thinks to himself, there's no such thing as a real saint. There's no one in this world who is truly connected with Vaheguru, with God. There's no one like that. It's all just fake. Everyone is fake. Everyone just wears these robes of religiousness. People wear these robes that I'm a good person, but inside it's all just greed and attachment inside. They're just full of these panchchor. So they're full of these bad qualities, greed and attachment and pride and lust and anger. That's what this person is. So tonight, we'll wait till he falls asleep and then we'll kill him. And with that plan in mind, Sajjan now tries to go to sleep. But when he gets into his soft, comfortable bed, what is usual for him, usual to fall asleep, he can't fall asleep now. And in his mind, all that's going through again and again is, what did Guru Nanak Dev Ji mean when he said crocodile? A crocodile has swum into this net. That little doubt is still swimming around in his mind, and he's tossing and turning and he can't get to sleep. And then he hears this divine music. He hears someone playing a rabab. He hears something. And as is natural for many of us, when we hear something nice, we're attracted by it. So we want to go and listen and find out what it is and who's singing that and where it's coming from. So he follows this sound and he comes to Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Bhai Mridana Ji sitting in that room doing kirtan. Bhai Mridana Ji is doing kirtan and Guru Nanak Dev Ji is sitting there listening. And Sajjan goes in and he sits down and he pretends to be a little bit religious and he sits down in samadhi and he tries to concentrate, trying to give off this impression of being a religious person. But really in that mind he had that plan to kill them later on. So Sajjan is sitting there and he's listening to this tune and he starts to get a little bit of peace, a little bit of saj in his mind. And then with this saj, with this peace that's coming from the music, he starts to get a little bit drowsy and he falls asleep. As soon as he falls asleep, he has a dream. He sees every single person that he has ever killed, that he has ever done a wrong to in this way, that he's murdered and stolen from. He sees every single one of those people in his dream, and he sees their families as well. So now, every single one of those people is chasing after Sajjan. They're screaming at him, yelling at him, beat him, torture him, murder him. They're chasing him like that, and Sajjan gets terrified and he starts running and running and running, but eventually, like in our nightmares, the bad things come true and they catch him. They catch him and they start beating him. They start tearing at his clothes. One of them even gets their hands around his neck and starts choking him. And Sajjan wakes up. Now imagine that you've just woken up from a horrifying dream and you're panting and you're just like, was that real? What happened? In his mind, he has just seen something so vivid. And he's thinking to himself, what just happened? And in his mind, even though he doesn't want to admit it, in his mind, he's thinking, these are my actions. This is what I've done to people. This is who I am. And then the second thing he thinks is that I did those killings, but I had companions with me. I was killing, but there were people with me doing those actions as well. But when it came to it, when I had to face those people, I was alone. There was no one there with me to face up to what I had done. So Sajjan is now thinking all of this, and now in this frame of mind, Maharaj opens his mouth, Guru Nanak Dev Ji opens his beautiful mouth and starts speaking a shabad, starts singing a shabad, a beautiful, beautiful shabad that just completely tears down Sajjan's insides. Sajjan is in this mode and he's thinking to himself all of these thoughts about what he's done, and Maharaj starts singing about exactly the actions that Sajjan has done and exactly the character that he has. So Maharaj, what does he say? Ujalakaha chilkana kotama kalarimasa. That bronze keha is shiny. sorry, brass I should say. Brass is shiny on the outside. But as soon as you take your hand and you start rubbing it, what appears? A black mark. A black mark, the true inside of what's there. It's not shiny. Really, inside, Sajjan's qualities were completely black. Galari master, that it's completely black. And he's saying, oh Sajjan, on the outside you have these robes of religiosity, but inside, who are you really? You are completely black, you have no real qualities. And then Maharaj goes on to say, that even if you wash yourself, by washing yourself on the outside, you'll still not be able to get rid of the that you're not getting rid of those inside qualities that you have that are so negative. And even if you wash yourself 100 times, that still won't come out. And now Maharaj says to Sajjan exactly, Sajjan se naal mein chal diya naal chalan, jithe lekha mangiya, tithe khade disan. That Sajjan se naal mein, that my friends are those are my friends who come with me. That come with me, chal diya naal chalan, who are with me here in this life, and are also with me in the next life, after I die. That those are my friends that I take with me. Jithe lekha mangiya, that where an account of my deeds is asked for once I leave this world, once we are all asked for an account of our deeds, jithe lekha mangiya tithe khade disan, that they appear there and they are standing with me there. So what's Maharaj really saying there? Because who is that real friend then who appears standing with us? That real friend is our qualities, because there's no one in this world who's going to come with us when we leave, when we die. That real friend is the qualities that we have in this life. Qualities of, what qualities are we talking about? Sat, Santok, Dharam, Daya, Pao, those qualities of truth, contentment, of love, of righteousness, of doing the right things. Those are our true friends that come with us. So this shabad goes on for many panktiya. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. But Maharaj goes on to say, just to give you a very quick summary, that Maharaj gives a few more examples now of those people. So he goes through and says that there are many bagga bagge kapde tirat manjvasana kota gota jiya khavane bagge na kahiyan, that there are herons who wear white feathers, who look like very pious birds. They're sitting in these places of tirat, so they're sacred places, they're religious places that people come and bathe in. But what do? They're standing there so still, but what do they do when there comes a fish, when there comes an unsuspecting little creature? They snatch it. They grab hold of it and they start chewing it and cutting it down into small pieces. Now Maharaj is giving us these examples, that these are your qualities, Sajjan. This is who you are, that you have these blackness inside of you. Now Maharaj, at the end of the shabad, goes through and says, Chakariya changiyaya avarase anapaketa, Nanak naam samalatu pada chut hai jita. That what's the use of having all of these clever tricks? What's the use of having all this siyanap, these little things that we know? What's the use of this? Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, Nanak naam samalatu, remember Vaheguru. Naam samalatu, remember Vaheguru. Badda chut hai jitta. That all of these things that are keeping you here, all of these worldly attachments, this greed that you have inside of you that drives you to kill people in the night, by remembering Vaheguru's names, they will destroy that greed, they will destroy that attachment. Sajjan hears this and completely falls at Maharaj's feet. And he says, and everything that's inside of him comes out. And he says, Maharaj, this is who I am. I have no qualities inside of me. Please, Maharaj, Naam Bakshalo, please give me the right way, show me the right way. And Maharaj gives him Naam. Maharaj does immense kirpa, because that's who our Guru is. That is who our Guru is, that they can take someone who is a robber, someone who is a thief, someone who murders people in the night, and they can do immense kirpa on them. They can come there, somewhere that's so far out through the forest that they traveled. And they came there, and even though that person was a robber, even though that person had no qualities inside of them, even though when you rubbed them a little bit, this blackness came out, they turned that person from someone like that into someone who was pure gold. And someone who later on created the first Gurdwara, the first Dharamsala, who completely destroyed that house where he had been killing people and gave back all of that gold and all of that jewels that he'd stolen, given them back to their families, and said, I'm renouncing this life, and now I'm going to take Guru's words and I'm going to follow Guru's path. So Maharaj came, he gave Upadesh, that Sikh took on that Upadesh and took on those teachings, put them into their lives, completely changed their life, changed their family's life, changed their community's life. So I've made many mistakes talking about this. We're going to finish there today, and I'm sorry that we couldn't go through the Shabad a bit more. I got a bit too involved in the story. So we'll have to cut him off. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.